Happy days. It is time for some FACEIT League. We got some off-season action for you. This is promotion relegation matches for Expert Master Division. I guess theoretically it's in a Master relegation matches is what we got going on for you tonight. It's our second of 2 relegation matches here between Season 6. So, important matchup here. 3 maps. I mean, whoever wins 3 maps tonight, you get a spot in Master Division. And, well, if you've, seen what's been going on here with the talk of Season 7 and the stakes behind Season 7, I mean, getting a spot in Master Division guaranteed here is a big deal. Like, this is going to carry a lot of gravity behind it. One of these teams is then going to start 2026 that way, right? Like, so whoever ends up in Master Division tonight, that's how you're going to start off the year. And you're also, potential one step away from being in the the qualifiers for OWCS for 2026 taking place after this upcoming Season 7. It feels like there's a lot on the line here. I mean, it feels like it's an important time to kind of hold on to those precious slots in Master Division things. Those slots are kind of up in the air for a lot of other teams, and each one of them feels very, very precious. So we'll see. It's an important 5 map, first to 3 that I've got for you tonight. Wouldn't miss it. Yeah, let's just take a look. Let's take a look at our 2 teams. Let's get into it. I do have Spectrion coming in to join me tonight. We'll be casting with me. And just always good to get Spec in. Then you don't have to listen to just my voice. I've got a guest here to kind of help balance things out. It's nice. Amplify coming out of Master Division. Almost held on to. Did not have like a totally atrocious year by any means. Like, I mean, it was obviously it wasn't as good as they'd have liked, but it wasn't like an 0-14 season or 0-15 season or whatever. One win was the difference between being in relegation matches and up here with the rest of the 5 and 10 teams that are sitting in 10 to 12, right? And that are in the safe zone for now. It was one win. Unfortunately for Amplify, they just run into a vicious end of the season schedule here. Your top 3 teams right there at the end. And they do get the head-to-head over In Control. They also got the head over Extinction Zero. 2 teams who were in that 5-win column, right? So Amplify were able to beat this team, and they're able to beat this team, but they had lost to rotation earlier in the season. And I think that was kind of the faded one. If they had been able to beat rotation early in the season, then they would have been the 5 and 10 team and they would be safe. But alas, Amplify, a team that we know as an OWCS, the infamous skip of Master Division, where as an org they jumped from Tier 3 from Expert Division directly into OWCS with an outstanding run through the 2025 qualifiers to get into OWCS. 0-7 in that stage, back in Master Division, where they continued to struggle. Roster problems kind of still continued to plague them. And when it felt like even those roster problems felt like they ran over into Season 6. And it felt like just when Amplify, right before roster lock, Amplify kind of got this current roster that we now see before us. Just got this one locked in. I mean, I think there was just the 1 win over In Control after that, to be honest. But they looked so much better. It felt so much better, at least. Kafe are your 3rd place team coming out of Expert. And they just had an outstanding run. I mean, just had an absolutely outstanding run there through the back of the season. They finished 3rd in regular season and 4th out of playoffs, earning them a spot here. And just a glow up of a team. Run into just a little bit of problems later on, but for the most part, an outstanding season. This is a team that, 6 and 10 in Expert to start the year, 9 and 7 in Expert in Season 5, and then put together this 12 and 4, and find themselves three map wins away from Master Division. But they just an incredible turnaround here in Season 6. It feels like Kafe actually just kind of, they brought in a couple of pieces, but it just needed a couple of parts to really push it over the line. This has been a high-octane Kafe offense led by Risky, who very much lives up to the name as far as a tank player goes. First is another outstanding player here. But, like Ivory, Biz, Garchomp, Angel Velato, these names have been around for, I've seen these names around for a bit. Versus Risky and First, who feel like, Wed Tube even. who feel like brand new next up's kind of coming up. So it does kind of have a bit of that vibe to it. All right, let's go. Let's see if we can get Spec in here.
Afternoon.
Hello, hello.
I don't know. I'm excited for this. I normally don't get a chance to do too much North American Overwatch, but obviously after doing Copa America, then I got my toes a little bit wet. Can hopefully continue some momentum through. Obviously, Amplify is an org we all know a lot about, but in recent times, that's slightly outside of my area of expertise. So I'm going to be learning, I think, a lot today.
And well, I mean, this still kind of has, I think your initial instinct would be correct. This says where Amplify is a little bit more veterancy, not just in the org itself, as we do have a Lijiang pick and a Hazard ban. This is both courtesy of Amplify here. But and also in the players, you know, with like Angel Velato is a name that I feel like goes back to, it was played on Team Mexico in 2019, 2020, right? Ivory and Biz are names I feel like I've seen around the NA path to pro scene for quite some time, where it's Gap and Ewan who have the OWCS experience and played last year with Amplify and kind of, you know, led up into that OWCS run. They feel like the newest players on this team, where Kafe is definitely like next up, like young, hot, like brand new, you know, kind of not necessarily green, but
they're fresh off the block, we'll call them.
Yes.
I mean, it's a narrative as old as time in esports, right? Your experienced veterans versus the new kids on the block. It's gonna continue to be repeated, but here it's a decent amount of stakes to see which one, you know, youth or experience has the advantage here today. Listen, I was hearing you talk about Team Bulls going earlier in your stream, and all I can say, I'm excited to see your progress.
You and me both, sir. As soon as it happens, I'll let you know. As soon as it happens.
And that'd be the coldest way to get to Stockholm, is what I'm saying.
Amazing, amazing. Oh, right. Time to turn down the copyright-free music. We're gonna get into a little Overwatch. We're gonna kick things off on Lijiang. It's it was a. Oh my God! Wait a minute. Was 5v6? 5v6 is a new bug.
Overwatch 1 versus Overwatch 2 team? New show match idea, guys?
This is wild. I'm just going to go ahead and send y'all in, friends. As you can see in the top right corner, there's an extra slot here for Amplify.
I mean, it seems like the lobby started fine, which is also not how I thought it would work, but I guess it means it's just a strange visual bug as per now.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's just a visual bug for now. We're just going with that.
Never seen anything like it.
I can't say I have either.
Loving the bashing out of lobby, actually. It's incredibly annoying to deal with, but it is pretty easy if you do really pay attention to those turret cycles.
And we're going to get, I mean, immediate burst of damage right out of the gate to try to win control right around the center pillar. But Biz with a clever pick on the Pharah. Oh, no. It throws off my F keys.
No.
Oh, no. Good direct lands on the first. Yeah, it means gap. It means I actually have to hit F12. Wait. All right, there we go. All right. Oh, speaking of Preds, I need to give y'all Preds. Spec, why don't you carry the mic for a moment?
Of course, cleanse, expend for you. Kind of eating rockets, but Biz unable to correct the direct. Currently just risky, holding hands up, holding form. Doesn't have that same sustainability it used to, but still enough to keep on kicking first. Off the map, self-damage, it don't matter. That's a hold coming through from Amplify, 17%. It's all that we'll see from the Kafe, but at the end of the day, that won't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. Wedgetube, 70, now almost 80% of a way to a Casino Rush, though, is going to be a huge threat in this next fight. Even though there's no Bastion to really take advantage of it, it's still such a strong ultimate.
Well, one gun direct and one gun punch is all it takes, and Risky is down once again. Getting some support here in chat from Mega Ninja, but unfortunately, it is Amplify able to win the second fight with just that pick. Barrage in the pocket, now Kitsu as well.
Risky got evaporated there in that corner. That 1600 EHP went like the wind. Can square up again, but none of that ult advantage they had in the previous fight is there, and boops off the map again. Biz absolutely farming right now.
That's what I get for taking it off of Business Pub. I should have just left it on Business Pub. I'm sorry. Alyssa, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you being here. I guess first reset? Question mark?
It's just such a strange reset timing, though. I'm gonna check the replay code afterwards for that.
Yeah, from afar. Like, afar is not usually a one who's gonna throw himself off the ledge. You know this.
Okay, listen. Coast rotate. Yep. This is a lot safer. Barrage in, but too high altitude for security kills.
Lobby will cut it down. We saw just a brief red X on a Crazy Cat. Assists in that kill, and gonna get a good response here out of Kafe. Judicious with his ultimate, so it seems for now 3v3. Nobody's gonna spin in that. Excuse me, it's a 5v3 favoring Kafe. Oh, Biz gets a late kill. That's not good.
Yeah, lovely exit there. I mean, I think it's the first fight where we go White Room that we instantly win it out. It turns out Bridge just kind of sucks to walk into Farah. And as soon as we, change things up, it becomes a hell of a lot easier. So, love the adaptation. Ult still pretty plentiful on both sides. No Crazy Cat means that this is just a no-go for Amplify.
It's Ewan's Pov. Ewan's Pov gets skipped because of this glitch.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like F8 is Ivory and F9 is Crazy Cat.
And if you mouse click, can you go over to you and or is it still scared?
I mean, I'm sure I can do the. Which speaking of Ewan is in deep here, by the way, y'all.
Getting involved.
Ewan was seriously was up here in front, dancing around this ledge. All right, gets to in play for both of our squads. We'll go look at the. No, I want the lobby OC. Well, let's see if Kafe can hold on to this. Sound barrier in play. In second here from Poyu. So far, it was a lot of kills. Nobody dies. 6 ults in. Nobody in the kill feed. Over the top from Watch. Right on top of Kafe. They're able to hit the Nemesis and the Annihilation and get the kill. Drain that last bit of health off of first. You still have Risky holding on to this space, but albeit barely. Ewan trying to escort it in. Doesn't have a whole lot of health to work with. I think Lobby getting set up in a good spot here. Might be able to hold this. We're at 87 to 92. Potential last fight to control this opening sub-map. What an important sub-map it is.
It's huge here. They spot the side flank of Ivory, but not enough to deal with the Sojourner. Great rail pick onto first. Might spell another flip and just excarburating that damage with Poyu falling as well. This might be it for Amplify here. They might have, unfortunately, snatched the defeat from the jaws of victory. And, not my mistake, that's Amplify in control. It was so back and forth. The Kitsu might be it.
Yeah.
90 to 100. That's crazy close.
That'll do it. There was a really good swing there from Ivory. Love that swing. Went all the way around kind of towards Bridge side, where it looked like the focus was around the incoming aggression from Amplify and White Room. This massive swing from Ivory goes all the way to Bridge and is able to get 2. Really, really dangerous play, like a play I've been attributing to Kafe. And they're a higher risk play style, as I've kind of joked all season with the namesake of their tank. It was Amplify who took the big risks in that one, specifically Ivory.
Because as well, Kafe were playing really well up to that point. They were playing super safe. They were only using their ults to maintain the status quo, right? Their opponents Kitsu, they Kitsu. The opponents beat, they beat. Just burning time until they eventually, won on point control. So that crazy play was absolutely needed and absolutely worked out. Now, 1-0 up, Amplify in a great position to take the rest of Lijiang Tower if they can just convert that momentum.
A little bit of an overextension from Risky there. Has to use the Nemesis form. We kind of back away. So control coming in. Yeah, I was going to say, I believe this timing is going to start favoring Amplify. Risky's not going to be able to keep the toes on point long enough. We will get Cap, obviously, with the kill from Lobby. Definitely exacerbated things into Amplify's favor.
Yeah, really
First
tricky here when we're kind of defending against this Farah comp. That you really need to get a pick before the Farah just double direct somebody. Thankfully, this time you do. Ivory responsible for a great pick, but Biz going down means that the shoe's on the other foot now.
They're gonna catch Biz before they can burrow. Gap's gonna get burned. That is a really nice response out of Kafe, a flawless response, and we're gonna get a swap out of Biz because of it.
for Cafe's comp, their pressure is so much more consistent than what their oppositions at least were, so they know as long as they don't make a crazy play, they'll probably work something out. The Echo is played partially as a counter to the Pharah, but also just in general, so you can play a little bit more towards your poke conditions, play a little bit slower. I do think this is a strong choice, but at the end of the day, I think both sides are really feeling the loss of that Tracer.
Kitsu available from Kafe. Back it up just a little bit to the point. I think we're trying to bait Amp in a little bit. They do Unleash. Risky's not able to catch anybody, but does build up toward the Annihilation. Could just choose to hold the choke with it. Let's keep an eye on Crazy Cat looking for the spots. They're able to get the Kitsu win, but that is an enormous Annihilation. But Risky still gets brought down. Beautiful play out of Biz. It looked like everybody from Amplify's health bars was on a just absolute pivotal knife's edge. Biz wrestling Risky down out of the Annihilation. Keeps an Amplify moving forward here.
That Kitsu turn was beautiful. I mean, Risky just full sending it in, and honestly, a lot of players there would, but Crazy Cat recognizing that it is punishable, drops the Kitsune Rush and absolutely shreds the Ram HP. Squaring up again, this time with a Lobby OC. See how it works out.
Lobby doesn't get the beat. They're able to get Biz on the outside, ends up being a trade of your Flyers, 4v4 after the beat trade. Keep an eye on, oops, sorry, my F keys are off. Ivory's with an OC here to hold this point as Amplify are going to cross and take the lead as far as percentage. Risky able to hold off Gap, though. Gap doesn't even get a chance to hit Annihilation. What happened there, Spec?
Absolutely evaporated. We've been seeing these Rams just absolutely tank damage 24/7. Speaking of Rams, another one on the board, but it's a barrage huge from first.
And taking you off the board. This is just going to get leverage into a couple more kills and a flip here out of the Kafe. 55-80.
You're going to be kind of worried, though, if you are Kafe. 80% is just on the border of one-fight territory. You cannot give over any sort of flip because that will essentially guarantee your opponent's reach, at the very least 99. And remember, you are still down that 1 point already. You cannot afford to give more. Kitsune Rush, your biggest tool. See how they use it. Maybe to counter out an Annihilation.
Keeping an eye on Gap's positioning, holding on to that Nemesis form. That Nemesis form, it gets popped. We could just see Wedtube throw the Kitsu directly on top. Oh, Ivory with a beautiful opening pick, but it's immediately traded. No soldiers in play. The Kitsu out first here. Wedtube, tired of waiting, decides to want to go first. See if they can seal the deal. No kills in this 4v4. Good disengage out of Amplify. They're going to come back in. Annihilation in the pocket. Vortex trying to prevent the escape. That's the Nemesis popped. All guns pointed at Risky. The Annihilation's there. Ewan gets two! Off the side goes Lobby and Wedtube. And that is just going to be the tilting of the map. Is there time for another recontest?
Crazy. A double boop just in the moment called for it. I mean, it was the attempt to use the Annihilation as your big tool there. Obviously, Risky is able to mirror it out, so suddenly it was the back foot for Amplify, but Ewan, what a release of pressure. What a double kill. Now there needs to be a touch somehow. Maybe it's the Pharah. Does it even come through?
Barely. Kitsu, though, and first is immediately just brought down. Risky has very little health here. Does do a good job of dancing around the focusing beam out of Biz, but Biz is going to build up towards another ultimate. Ewan has the sound barrier ready to go. Drops it in the corner despite the vortex and keeps everybody off the point. An unfortunate in here. It would have been an uphill battle for Kafe. They were fighting, you know, they were fighting from the back foot. But still, I think it ended a little faster than they would have liked.
I mean, it was hard fought, right? I mean, both of these sub-maps come down to one player going for a pretty exceptional individual play, right? I mean, this from Ivory, being able to multi-frag under this type of pressure, that's quality that not every team can say they have. It's not something every hit scan can pull out on the regular. And of course, that Ewan double kill, I mean, we missed it, but I think we could all imagine exactly what type of risks you have to take on Lucio to get value like that. So far, you know, we were talking about this youth versus experience, and it is the experience of Amplify to go for these really borderline plays that's getting them the lead so far.
And even though we didn't get that exact aggression on stream, we did see a lot of Ewan's positioning, particularly on Gardens, actually, and how aggressive they were being. Is there anything standing out or surprising you in the stat card?
Let's take a look now.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, WedTube and Crazy Cat both, comparable output. WedTube, does lead the supports in damage output.
WedTube was doing bits, 2 deaths as well.
That's what I'm saying. WedTube's performance actually standing out despite Kafe not really coming out on top there. But you also have the 10 deaths from First.
Yeah, that's really rough. I definitely noticed a couple, and obviously more than a couple self-destructions, especially on Gardens, but that's a lot of uptime you're losing. When you look at the next highest deaths in the lobby being tied 3 members for 6, right? So if you're first, you're probably feeling like a little bit of that blame falls on your own shoulders. It just depends on how you deal with that. That really informs how the rest of this series is going to go.
And First, we talked about First. We went to the intro. You was before I got you in here, but First is one of the players that's always stood out to me this season here for Kafe, and I think one that needs to stand out if they're gonna find success moving forward. They got to get First more involved. First, having the lowest damage of your DPS or of tanks, of any of those 6 players. First, having the lowest damage is one rare. B, not a good sign for Kafe. They got to turn that around.
I feel like another thing that we saw more so on that first point than anything else was kind of trying to brute force the same strategy over and over again. I know I mentioned it at the moment. I'm going to reiterate it here, right? When we saw them continuously walking bridge on Lijiang Gardens, it wasn't working out for them. They were getting absolutely mashed up by the Pharah and by the Soj spam. And watching them try it once, absolutely fine. First fight, that's standard. Twice, bit weird, but again, I don't hate it. But 3 times, I think, is just too poor.
That's just
really
silly.
like seeing them just route left a little bit earlier because it worked out so well for them, right? And maybe if they did that, we would be still in Lijiang Tower, maybe looking at going to a control center.
Right. We could take a replay code and go look at some Lijiang Tower.
And we need to watch the UN double boop as well.
Oh yeah, okay, let's go find the UN double boop.
He's got the enhanced boop as well, and bam. That is absolutely chef's kiss.
That was pretty chef's kiss. Mm-hmm. It was an Esperanca pick here out of Kafe. Once again, that was a Ramatra ban. Also out of Kafe, they got first ban, and then a response was Cass there out of Amplify.
Ram and Cass bans both heavily imply to me that we're going to be increasing the tempo pretty ridiculously, right? We're playing pretty static, right? Especially with that Pharah Soj Ram setup on Lijiang. On Ishba, you can't play the Ram at all, so we're probably going to be on faster tanks. Obviously, Cass is a great tool for shutting down Bull, Tracer, Sombra, basically anything that's got a small HP pool and wants to be fast. So that being removed as well means that we're probably going to be looking at some like Formula 1 style pace, or you just like lock hog and pray that Risky hits some hooks. I like the hog though. I like genuinely good IGLing with a Roadhog is so annoying to deal with because you've got the Lucio speed, you've got the cleanse to deal with that annoying CC. So playing against it just feels like a horror game where Risky is going to appear from a totally unexpected angle, one-shot someone, and vanish again.
We do have Angel Velato coming in for Ivory here from Mapped in the DPS department there from Amplify, currently on the Tracer.
Double flex.
Indeed. Veteran from Team Mexico. Played for Team Mexico both World Cup in 2019 and 2020, if memory serves. If those might have missed it in the intro. Also a console veteran as well. Gap will find first blood. A little bit of a double entendre there. On the Zarya. First blood. Huh? What? That? All right.
I don't get it. Oh, I see.
It was on to first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to come up with some gap, like, blood pun. It ain't work out. Risky goes down to the melee. Gap's really struggling to farm energy, but it really doesn't matter because right now, Angel Velato especially is just running rings around first. Unfortunately, really losing out on that Tracer duel. That means the rest of Amplify can essentially sit pretty and just keep rolling the cart in. Even recontesting for the lead is going to be somewhat tricky for the Kafe, but they've got to try.
See if we can get one of those appear out of nowhere hooks that you were talking about. 2 meters left for the cap, and just won't get there in time. The fish does land for a quality hook and some decent damage there on, I believe it was on to you in time. Gap and Viz do go down. So despite giving up the checkpoint, looks like Kafe will win out this fight.
Yeah, I mean, both sides are going to be happy enough with that. You know, forward spawns, it's always just a treat to get. But that's also, in theory, how this whole comp is supposed to work. You play a little bit slower. You wait for Risky to connect a hook onto something, anything really, it doesn't matter. And once that, you know, unpicks the first thread, the whole opponent's composition begins to unravel. As we saw there, post your Kitsune rush, that's going to be so frustrating for your opponents to deal with. So probably going to be playing super slow, try and charge up to some of your own ults to mirror it out, or just take the quick loss to the Kitsune of Wedge Tube is going to be the game plan of Amplify here.
There's, of course, the X Factor that is Angel Velato with the pulse in the pocket. Forced out good peel, went to building up the rest of that ultimate. But Angel Velato finds their prey! Reconvenes with them in the bottom level to take the Kitsu out of the fight. What an opening pick! No pulse even necessary. Risky's gonna fall, and we're not gonna get any Qs into this fight. So everything comes up Amplify. Poryu comes up with a good trade there at the end. I think just to send a message.
It's not going to do much more than that, though. The Lucio's going to be back way before there's any sort of action in. I think the real disadvantage here for the Kafe is going to be that the ult advantages they had heading into that previous fight is totally evaporated. Now, both sides can go mano a mano, but Biz having that EMP means that they control the tempo. They control exactly how this next fight will unfold, so they might only need the one check mark to convert it.
Can't get the hack down of the Tracer, but you do force out the recall early. First, just hiding in a corner. Saw Biz kind of staging and push this in, but looks like the Amplifier's just going to bait. They do. EMP right on top of the hog. The Poryu gets a beautiful beatdown, though. What a counter. Kitsu in play out of Amplify, but Risky's going to just push them all back. And First gets 3. First dance around behind everybody and destroys. Destroys Amplify. First nuke, says Riker.
I mean, that was obviously huge value from the Tracer, but I might need to see that on the replay. Was that a mem from Biz? I saw the entire EMP essentially hit the robot.
It looked like it hit the roadblock to me, too. That's what I saw as well. We're going to get a sound barrier engage here from Amplify. As Gap goes off of the Zarya into a Maga. And Amplify still managed to protect the lead through all of that, by the way, despite spending everything in their bank. Pulse lands, Gap low, will fall. Risky's able to survive, but WedTube does not. So nobody really with an advantage here. Risky going down. It looks like Amplify actually in control.
Feels like Angel maybe a little bit mad that the opposing Tracer managed to find so much value in the previous. This time, does not allow it to happen. 3 kills so far for the red team Tracer. Looking for more, of course, as well as it is just First remaining on the bot, but there's not much the Tracer can do. Backs out. 5 minutes on the bank, about a 13-meter lead so far for Amplify, but that could disappear or increase at an absolute moment's notice. Kafe square back up, and Amplify seem keen to play some more passive angles for now.
You're keeping, I mean, even the Sombra's playing very far back, playing very peel. As I say that, here comes Biz sneaking in through the top, misses the virus, but has revealed their location. And Lobby playing super close in this angle. Pushed all the way up. Cap has to come in and try to peel up. It gets hooked in. Pulls thrown in. Ewan just gets popped. Oh, 1 square in the chest. And it's an immediate +2, +3, +4 team kill here for the Kafe.
It feels like, in theory, Malga's supposed to be one of the hardest tanks to burn, but it's been the game plan time and time again of the Kafe just to find Gap and dump a shitload of damage into him, right? He's getting evaporated fight after fight. That time the OC with the 150 damage blended him. Time before, it was just a roto cook. Amplify gonna have to figure out a solution to this sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I just saw the EMP in chat. Capitology, what the hell is that possible? That has to be that EMP, right? That has to be that EMP. Speaking of, here's Biz with another one. This one on to Risky, but it's immediately cleansed. And WedTube has it. Kitsu in play. So maybe that was what beat it the first time. I don't know. Did WedTube outplay Biz for the second time in a row here? This one was gorgeous, and it's another fight win. This is going to be the lead. Kafe already have checkpoint, right? We're marching right over this yellow line.
Oh, what a lead as well to get getting lower on in time back, which means the comeback's going to be a hell of a lot harder, and you've got so much momentum on your side as well. It was a really strong start for Amplify, but it feels like the later on we've got, the more they've just began to crumble. Cage Fight Kitsu, though, is an incredibly strong combination. Poryu's beat is going to have to be absolutely picture perfect if they want to save any member getting isolated by the ultimate of Gap.
Okay, who's Gap looking for? Once lobby, I'd imagine take the hog if you can get it. Risky in a bit of trouble here. Poryu right on top. There's the overrun. Good disengage. The rundown with the Kitsu. Angel Volado and Gap don't even need the cage there to find their prey. And they're able to just outspeed, out-rotate using Crazy Cat's ultimate.
I don't mind that at all. Just realizing that the Roadhog, while you do have the Lucio speed, can't run all that far back, and so just isolating, burning, going next. Still, a couple fights going to be needed for that lead to go back in the favor of Amplify. And now there's no damage amp, no extra, oomph to throw into that cage. Then Poryu's beat is going to be a great tool to mitigate it.
Okay, well, there's the drop down. We're going in. They don't want to give up that lead. Cage Fight kind of behind the back line. Found Poryu at first, it seems. The barrier is just too early. It was Amplify once again with kind of a counter punch play. And it's working? Wait a minute. Did Amplify punch themselves out? Wait, okay, it's a 1v3 here, so the answer is no.
Full try. Did Poryu's beat actually connect? I stopped paying attention for a half second, and I'm not quite sure how that worked out.
They just beat super early in the fight. It was like before Cage Fight even came in, it felt like.
Yeah.
And now Amplify have a 2-meter lead here.
Tracer Jewel is going to be really awkward here for first, who's going to feel like they're exposed with a lack of cooldowns, not really knowing what the plan is for Angel Volado, so just backs out as far as they reasonably can. The cart is going to continue being in this pretty forward position, right? The lead for Amplify. The Kitsu, though, might turn that around.
Went to 1 health, as is Poryu. When she was able to swift step away. Business is going to drop the OC. Fights first with the headshot immediately. So while the backline just taking too much pressure, we're not able to keep attention on Risky. Risky falls, as does the ranks of Kafe. 70 seconds to go and a significant lead here for Amp.
Talking about how it was all the momentum on the side of the Kafe, shoes on the other foot now as we're on the final stretch and at a minute left to go with a Kitsune rush. This might be it for Esperanca.
Risky, yeah, the whole hog's not going to be able to bail you out of that one. Webtube is gone, no ult in the pocket here of Kafe. With 45 seconds to go. It's looking a little bit desperate. Poryu gets found out. And I think we're looking at a full cap here, friends. 3 meters, there's the overrun. That is going to do it. It's a 2-0 lead for Amplify here in your relegation match.
Reverse sweep going to be needed from the Kafe if they want to stay up here in NA Masters. It's a lot of pressure. And not to bring it back to that same narrative we started on, but do they really have the experience to hang? To really keep performing under that type of weight? All we can do is wait and see. Reverse sweep could be absolute cinema in a game that honestly has been super close, but obviously the score don't show it, and that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day.
I agree. It's been a close 2-0, which to me gives me hope that there is room. I would not count out at the very least a map 4.
Nothing stands out in terms of the deaths. Everyone's pretty consistent on that. In damage, leading the server was Lobby this time at about 8k, if I'm not much mistaken. Oh, no, it was Gap at 10k. He's on Malga.
Yeah, Gap on the Malga. Yeah, exactly.
The main standout here is Angel Volado, who's doing, again, 7.5k, which is nice. But from the Tracer, that's really strong. Doing it with 2 deaths as well. I was super impressed by what I was seeing. Multiple multi-frags, but really just playing their lives so effectively. I think that was the big difference maker here.
I mean, I see, 3 to 6 in deaths for Amplify, with Angel Volado being the outlier at 2, and 3 to 5 deaths from Kafe, but Risky being the outlier with 7 deaths on the hog, where it goes the other direction. Otherwise, it looks pretty damn even in team fights for both sides, right? You're looking at basically 3 to 5 team fight wins for both sides. A couple extra deaths for Risky, or a couple fewer deaths for Angel.
feel like with Roadhog, you're just gonna like die sometimes. You know, compared to other tanks, you're much more often to be in a scenario where you're like, well, I'm just dead, I guess. You know.
I mean, we do have Dirt Overwatch in chat. We could.
Ask him. Yeah. Hey, what's your thoughts?
Dirt Overwatch.
In my experience, playing with some functional EU hog players like Umbre, it does feel like sometimes you go for a risk with the Lucio speed and you just get nuked.
You just get destroyed. Yeah.
Yep.
No, 100%. That is very valid. And to be fair, Gap also had 6 deaths on the Mog on the other side. So I mean, the tank was also leading in deaths for Amplify, but Gap also put up 4K more damage.
Yeah, I think that map was super close until probably the final 2 fights. I feel like Lobby trying to go for that clutch overclock was probably where it kind of slipped through the fingers of the Kafe, right? Because, like, I didn't not see the vision, but I feel like a more disciplined player probably wouldn't have ripped it there. That was a tool they really wanted heading into those next fights, and I think they really felt for the lack of it. I do think that was probably where they lost it. If they can take a deep breath here and reset for the next map, as you mentioned, map 4, entirely realistic, maybe even likely. And going to 5, still a possibility, still a hope that they have to cling on to.
But we are set. We are ready. It was a GB pick here at a Kafe to start the reverse sweep. It was the Ana ban from them as well. So Devo getting banned out by Amplify here as we get ready for map 3.
Devo ban is pretty standard on this map.
Yeah.
If you want to play Winston, Bull, really anything. Again, Ana ban, you're just targeting Ana Brig. These are, I'm not going to go so far as to say uninspired bans, but these are very normal, right?
Yeah,
These
agreed.
You know what you want to play, and you know how you're going to play it. I think Watchpoint Gibraltar in general is a map which doesn't allow a lot of creativity when it comes to bans, because it's so set. You're going to play Ana Brig or you're playing Kiri Lucio. 95% of the time. Obviously, more recently, people have been, experimenting with Wu Yang where possible. And then in terms of tanks, because you just need verticality straight up, there's only really a couple tanks you're going to see played. You're going to see Diva, you're going to see Winston. You might see like a Wrecking Ball or Hazard if the teams are feeling a bit more experimental, but the peaks aren't nearly as high. So these are all very predictable, and I think neither side has any big advantage, at least on the draw.
I was a little psychic warfare there with you and there in chat. Lobby working around towards this all-important position. This will force the defense back. Might even get a pick. Ooh, Saw had a glimpse of Ivory's dome. Couldn't lock it in. Gap is able to close, well, their namesake. Force Lobby back. Biz is right there to converge, and there you go. First kill will go over to the defense here. And that important bit of lane control now gone.
Is it? Do you mind shooting me again, please?
Oh, shoot. I totally forgot because I had to reset the... Yeah, that's right. I'm so sorry. My
No
bad.
worries.
My bad.
You're spinning like 17 plates at the same time. I think we can forgive this.
I just totally forgot to... Yeah. And the worst part is it didn't fix my margins. Son of a bitch.
Oh.
I know. All right, so second fight here.
Ground.
Yeah. You haven't missed
Decent
much.
pick pressure. Super long sideline. I mean, if the Fred doesn't double bolt you, you can just sit here literally forever. Nobody can even remotely touch you. Cart Mark is going to be a hell of a lot easier with the Wu Yang pocketing you. So I'd expect Biz to be able to stop this for a long while. Risky does need to find a staging for a dive eventually because Gap's poke is so much stronger.
And first fight, Gap just kind of waited for Kafe to get in range, and then Gap went in and dove the back line, got 2. Right now, just holding blue, not allowing Risky to get in anywhere to stage. And there it is. Ivory lands the 2-tap you're talking about, and that's immediately going to prompt a disengage. Well, theoretically. Okay, there's the jump back.
When you're playing with Widowmaker, you don't have to be as locked into fighting, 5v5 all the time because her value is so theoretical. Often just by being in the server, being on the lobby, she's kind of done all she can in the fight. So you don't have to. This time they're very safe though and decide just to play their numbers fully. Playing full from the low ground as you often will with that Kiriluso, trying to out-brawl the Hazard.
Bobby swaps her over to the Freya. Nice shooting out of web 2 with that Curie in play. The Suzu to help protect the Winston. Is there anything left to protect against the downpour? Risky will eventually fall. Still a player advantage to Kafe. It's going to be the Tidal Blast just used from you and onto themselves. Trying to hold on to something here for this defense, but now you're very separated from your squad.
Just touch. They're trying for it, obviously. Gaps down. The Kitsune Rush does allow you to buy yourself some time, but it's an easy way to hit for the Kafe, who just walk back in with their own sound barrier and simply roll over the opposition. Ivory falls. Gap's still not here, so an easy 5v3, one that Lobby and Risky never going to drop in their lives. Amalga? Weird as hell for Gap, but all it shows that he's swapping because that hero does not fly on the second phase of the map.
So I got to reset this again since I reset Overwatch. Apologize, that was probably a little loud for you there, friends. It just dawned on me. Gap does go back over to the Hazard. Yeah, we're not going to stay with that. That was just for that retake here. We're not staying on that for Shuttle. I would have been really surprised, too.
I would have had my mind blown if it actually worked, to put it that way. Low HP so far is Lobby, and the Lucio is forced off. Decent hold, and a Freya Gap to start this fight off.
Ivory's able to get one, puts enough damage in the lobby, and it's going to stop Cafe's progress. It says after all that, add start once we got into the map. Son of a bitch. That is so on brand for this stream. I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
It happens. All we can really say about it. Hold started from Amplify. This is one of the harder ones to break. I mean, Ivory here especially is going to be as close to lobby admin as you can realistically get. That Freya alongside the line is going to be able to punish each draw so easily. When you're with a Kitsune Rush, such a strong tool, but how do you actually put it in a strong spot?
Oh, okay. So they just drop it right on top of the shuttle. Risky jumps in with the Primal Rage all the way back outside. So he jumped out into the corner where Amplify tried to just overwhelm. Ivory ends up getting themselves? Question mark? Ivory dies to their own bolo shot?
Yeah. It doesn't happen all the time, but evidently it's a non-zero occurrence here. Biz dead. Ewan trying to, appear in the fight remotely, but not actually connecting any of those bolts. It seems like another cap with time here on the board for the Kafe. As right now, they're just kind of free sailing.
3.17 meters. This time it's Gap receiving the Tide Pod. Not able to lock down first. Just once again, really good movement here out of Kafe. We're going to get a couple of kills, picks, that is, either way to open this up. And none of the ultimates they had in their pocket are even necessary.
It's so easy for the Kafe right now.
It certainly feels that way.
It feels like, yeah, I think they've really won out on their drafts. I know I said, before the game that no side had a clear advantage, but they have such a better idea of what they want to do under these circumstances, and it's working out so well for them. The Kiri, Lucio, Winston, absolutely blending. They're playing it basically as a brawl comp. It's working out so well.
Kitsu does get blocked on the point. Or maybe it was just trying to go into the back line. A bit of an exchange there. Lobby will come up with the goods. That was such an awkward looking, like the Kitsu went so far back into the attacker's spawn while the Amplify was disengaging, and it about broke my brain, Spec. I was like, wait a minute, your Kitsu's going that way and the team's going that way. Sound barrier and play from Poryu, I think, was what's initiated the disengage. Still, you've had kills come up with first, now layering in another one here on top of Lobby's initial pick with the bolo shot. So 4v3, 5v4, I guess, now with this push.
All you can do is really back out at this point. You're low HP on your tank. Lobby's dead. Pulse is pristine. And the rest of the Kafe, unfortunately, going to have to close. At least for the moment, as they are being cleaned up right now. Amplify, very holdable scenario. They're only at a one-fight kind of mark, and both sides pretty skint. You got the Tidal Blast for Ewan, the Primal Rage for Risky, and Raw Mechanics, the other 8 players in the server. no matter which way the cards fall, the Kafe are going to have a fantastic round. It just depends on exactly how good.
Those Biz with the title pod. Woo, not able to lock him back down. Oh, did hit Lobby with that. I didn't see Lobby fall. Gap certainly did. I'm gonna force an early recall out. Oop, let's get this camera in a better spot. Defense are in a good position.
So low. Ooh, 19. Oh, won't be able to get around the corner. 5 seconds left to go. A touch is there at the very least, but nobody else is. Biz finds a double kill with the melee. Lobby at least a trade. But it's purely cosmetic in the end here.
Yeah, it's just Lobby and first left. That's as far as Kafe will get. But we have seen... Oh, okay, Risky's actually able to get a touch here on the Doom. But Wentim doesn't make it in. Poryu won't get that beat online. Oh, yeah, Team
Ivory was...
Good call.
Yeah, I feel like Ivory was doing quite a bit of work, especially towards the later stages. The Freya duel always felt pretty comfortable for them, but it feels like in terms of shooting everybody else, it did kind of take till the third point for them to really lock in. I think, as far as the Kafe are thinking, though, they've done well enough, right? Round the final bend, it's going to take a pretty strong effort, realistically, from Amplify to try and beat them and, in fact, eliminate them from Master Division here. So I do think that they are comfortable and probably almost at the point now where they are thinking about that map number 4 that we spoke about earlier. However, it's not over till the Fat Lady sings, and Amplify, with the momentum that they just started to build up towards the end of that round, absolutely could flip the script on their opposition and make this maybe not a clean 3-0, but a 3-0 nonetheless.
You're Rooster, thank you for the follow-up. Appreciate you. Risky sticking with the Hog, or going back to the Hog, should I say. We saw this back on that map, too. Back on Esperanca, which feels like hours ago now. It was actually just one map ago. Both are true, Spec. Both are true.
The Hog on defense here is playable. I've seen Hog more on the attack. You're great at fishing for picks and stalling cart, but once you go up high ground, retaking it is a humongous chore. Ivory insta-kills first, by the way. What is going on?
And the teleport was just so aggressive that he saw where I initially positioned the camera. It's kind of where I expected him to kind of go across, maybe take an early position on the bridge. No, that was a right-in-your-face blitzkrieg teleport.
We were saying how retaking the high ground is so tricky on the Hog. All you can deal with is a Poryu platform to take you back up there. For now, Gap can just free fire and wait for your Widowmaker, your hit scan to find some individual value. What the hell?
I like how they're just like point blank with each other, but neither can really do anything. Lobby lands a beautiful shot. Watch fighting in the Lucio. That's insane.
It's absolute pandemonium in the lobby right now. Ivory trying to find a duel onto the opposite number. Ivory just gets some free shots into Risky, but they can't mostly stop this deadlock. Ultimately does favor the defenders. Even if the attacker's going to feel like they've got some good map control, they can't do anything with it unless the card's actively rolling.
Oh man, you actually kind of nailed it with this comp. You're not lying. Except they get the Widowmaker instead of the Freya. Keep an eye on Risky. Able to take the elevator up while using the take a breather. Good hook, but we're going to get the cage fight in. Cage fight actually lands, and Cap does not survive long. Still, this could get a little wild. Yeah, his kills are starting to come up in Amplify's favor. It was ended up being a huge ultimate out of Gap in the end, even though they themselves didn't leave to see it long.
Yeah, I think the Kitsune Rush being active there really was the straw that broke the camel's back. The rest of Amplify able to just free shoot into the cage with that, increased rate of fire. Not a lot you can realistically do about that if you are the lobby, but that wasn't a bad hold, for sure. That being said, now you have to change comps to both sides. Tank ult's totally reset. And the rest of the comps now somewhat mishmash.
Two different fights going on. The Kitsu from Wetsuit actually throwing ground level here out of this defense. First fight's an opening pick somewhere off screen. Didn't see that happen. A beautiful move from Risky to claim the carry. And this is a much-needed hold here. Right around the 4-minute mark out of the Kafe defense. I mean, at least they want to try to force this map 4.
Yeah, I was curious to see if Ivory stayed on the Widowmaker here. The pick potential, nice to have, but the total lack of damage does create a lot of pressure on your own tank to somewhat close up the gap, and indeed, the Freya just going to be swapped through pretty quick. You're going to pick potential still there with a double bolt, just not as consistent as the one taps the noggin. Ult's close to both sides. Ewan finishing off this sound barrier normally would be pretty stressful, but because there's nothing coming up at all for Kafe, he can do this at a pretty leisurely pace.
So much time to work with in the bank as well. I mean, you're not kidding. Amplify has all this room and time in the world. All right, so we can take Mega Room, try to push in. Ivory low. Let's see, where are you positioned at? Okay, you're on the other side of the map here, just waiting for the passive heal. Ewan's going to go ahead and drop in that sound barrier, see if they can push through, taking the shuttle up to the high ground. Lobby gets caught. Gap and company are able to drop into the backside of the shuttle. Risky looking in a bad spot there, right in the middle of the thick of the Amplify ranks. He's able to kind of run them off. Forces the Suzu out of Crazy Cat as well. But Kitsu now in play. Oh, Risky just gets the business in of a lot of damage. Lobby will try to fend off what they can here with the Deadeye, but Gap and company come in, overrun the Cassidy. And Amplify will get this point on the board. About 3.5 to work through what they need to with point C.
I mean, part of me wants to say that you're going to be pretty happy about that fight if you're the Kafe, right? You get a double support ults out, you trade it for a Deadeye. You're probably swapping to Soj anyway. It's fine. But also, now you have to defend for 3.5 minutes. You've got a fight and a half, if that. The Sigma swap I do quite like, but you still need to find a way to deal with this Hazel, because there's a timing here where Gap can use it. The sound barrier won't be there.
He's got to keep Gap at bay. Keep an eye on WebTube as well. Do we go first with the Kitsu? There it is. Yes, we absolutely will go first. Gap will get stunned. Beautiful rock. They're on Risky to set that one up. And Lobby with the finish. Finds a 3-piece here.
Rain and economical. Exactly what you need if you want to get a consistent ult cycle going. Now, you know exactly what your opponents have. That should be a pretty accurate ult track coming through here. The sound barrier should be sufficient to dispatch them as long as not too many people get rooted, but still a threat one you're going to need to deal with. The fight after that, you should be able to have the gravitic flux, and I should be able to tide you over until the final fight. That's if nobody overrules. That's if nobody oversteps. It's going to have to be clinical for the defenders now.
2:15 to go. A lot of pressure coming in from the high ground from 3 different players, including Ivory and both supports. And Ivory's going to find Lobby. Oh, no. Soundbarrier from Poryu to try to get it back. And a couple of ults thrown in. Might even be enough for the defense to hold. Poryu goes down. Oh, it is a messy back and forth. Amplifier coming out on top as they're going to isolate first on the cart and round the final quarter.
Should be able to manifest. Sig. Oh, it feels so awkward for Risky trying to make us swap because you're so close.
Oh. I thought with the Venture swap we had a touch for sure between the Venture and the Lucio, right? I didn't think we were gonna get the back cap. I thought they had that touch for sure. Oh no. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
I was certain they'd have a touch.
Yeah, same. Like I didn't even think about the C9 happening. Oh, that's always the worst C9s. They're the ones like even I didn't see it coming. Like there's no way they're gonna see it if they C9'd it. Son of a.
You fought it so close every map, and then you end like that. Listen, I'm not going to say it was smooth sailing if they did get a chance to play out that fight, but they would have had a chance to charge into that gravitic flux. You know, there was probably no defensive ults active for your opposition. You're in a strong spot. And instead, heartbreaking, honestly.
That was pretty heartbreaking. After a wonderful season from Kafe as well, you know, and to be that close, to making it into Master Division for Season 7. But you know what? Big props to Amplify, Gap and Ewan, and Crazy Cat all, you know, returning to this roster here in this Season 6, at the end of this Season 6. This the same tank and backline that fought so damn hard to get this Amplify roster out of Expert, and where they skipped Master Division altogether in that legendary run last year at the start of 25 to make it into Master Division. And here they're able to fight tooth and nail and making sure that they don't give up that Master Division slot here. So you got to give a big tip of the hat there to Gap, Ewan, and the rest of the Amplify squad.
Yeah, I mean, they really did show quality today. I know we mentioned it, you know, when the cast was actually live, but they were taking very well measured risks there, ones that you don't see from every team, you don't see from every player, and it absolutely did buy them the victory today. When, you know, a lot of the times it felt like in the general macro, in the, you know, individual mechanics, these teams are pretty fairly matched, but just the boldness to go for plays like that, it's what allowed them to find the victory. So super well played from both teams. Obviously today Amplify just the stronger roster.
What do you think we give our player of the match to today before we close out the official side of things?
Whoever the second DPS was on Amplify feels like Ivory and Angel Velado is what I will mostly say.
Okay, the two that were swapping out.
Yeah, I would say that. Because Biz was consistent. Biz was really strong, but it felt like Ivory, I mean, especially map 5, so many magic picks, just made it so, or map 3 rather, so many magic picks. Created so much value. And then obviously on map 2, Angel Velado was just running the lobby on that tracer. Ridiculous value. But I don't feel that you can give somebody a player of the match for one map. So I think they can share it.
I'm on board with that. I love it. There you go. Ivory and Angel are going to be your co-sharing MVPs here for today's matchup. One last thing before we get out of here. One last thing, Spec. We got to go take a look at this EMP.
Yes.
We just got to. I'm sorry. I think something happened where it's not.
Should we just just use our eyeballs?
Yes, we're just gonna have to use our eyeballs and skip through. Yeah, it's missing. It's missing an EMP here. There it is.
Yeah.
Biz, oh no! Biz says no. Don't watch this. I'm sorry.
We want to see.
Oh no!
Yeah. You LOS the entire team.
Oh no, dude. Biz, that is extraordinarily embarrassing. Which of course means we're going to show it a couple more times.
Get all the angles.
Get all the angles.
Oh no.